It's 9 o'clock and welcome to Daybreak Plus right here on our WGRZ streaming app. Much of Western New York is buzzing after a violent 4th of July holiday weekend. While reaction continues, Buffalo police say their focus is on holding people accountable for the chaos they caused. They say it can all be traced back to so-called street takeovers, and it led to nearly a dozen people being shot between the ages of 13 and 51. There's a lot to unpack here. Buffalo Police Commissioner Erica Shields says the chaotic evening actually started with several people climbing up to the top of these unused grain elevators off Ohio Street. The SWAT team says one person actually started firing a gun from the top of one of the towers. Later on, just after midnight, Commissioner Shields said that a block party started on Stevens Avenue and then spread to East Delavan and Grider. She says many were armed with guns and, quote, seeking to wreak chaos. Within the next 2 hours, police say they responded to 6 shootings in different locations, leading to 11 people getting hurt. Now, take a look at this map. 4 people, including 3 teenagers, were shot just after midnight on Stevens Avenue. Less than 30 minutes later, 3 more were shot on Glenwood Avenue. The other shootings then happened on Moselle, Humber, Grider, and East Delavan at Norfolk Avenue. Buffalo police say a street party promoter organized the gathering that just led to chaos.
The promoter drew in people from outside a much larger footprint, many of whom had many other options. They weren't at risk, underprivileged children. They were kids who were looking to wreak havoc, and they came into our city to do it, and that's just not acceptable.
Commissioner Shields says she wants to pursue a cease and desist order against the promoter and make them pay the bill for the overtime hours that officers had to work that night. Again, there is a lot to unpack with this situation continuing to unfold. Daybreak's Natalie Foss joins us from Buffalo Police Headquarters with more on this evolving situation.
Commissioner Shields described what her officers experienced on Saturday night, saying that they were overwhelmed by the crowds. Shields commended her officers, though, for the restraint that they showed as fireworks were pointed in their direction, and Deputy Commissioner Craig Macy added that the officers dealt with people fighting with them, both verbally and physically. Shields said that when they attempted to make arrests early in the night, officers were surrounded and it became a safety issue. She said they had some advanced intelligence on this event, though, and were able to up the amount of officers on duty.
And we increased our overtime manpower by approximately 150% over last year to ensure that we had sufficient personnel. We don't want to create a police state. It is a balancing act. And I'm also acutely aware the more police we throw to a problem, the greater likelihood we have an officer-involved shooting.
Shields also mentioned an alarming attack on the South Buffalo home of an officer who was responding to a fight nearby. She said thankfully there were no injuries, but they are still investigating. Now, Mayor Ryan weighed in yesterday in a statement as well, calling the events dangerous, destructive, and disrespectful. On your side in the city of Buffalo, Natalie Foss, Channel 2 News.
All right, thank you, Natalie. And on your side is also hearing from Buffalo Common Council members. They're weighing in on what the city can do to help prevent future violence. Suggestions include building stronger relationships between police and the community and expanding summer programs to give kids more positive things to do.
Boots on the ground, whether it's direct patrol, beat officers, officers getting out of their cars, interacting with the business community, developing that trust, that confidence with the general public to the point where they feel confident and say, hey, you know, I can trust you, I can share information with you that might be vitally important in solving crime. So I believe in that interaction.
We need more buildings open in the community, in the Maston district, all over the city. Not just my district, everywhere. There are children all over our city and they have limited supply of things to do. And so yes, they're gonna get creative and they're gonna start doing whatever they wanna do. But if we, the adults in the room, don't provide that structure, this past July 4th is what you end up with.
Councilwoman Everhart says she's hosting a public meeting with the mayor and the police commissioner tomorrow at Mount Olive Baptist Church. She hopes families, caregivers, and community leaders will attend to talk about ways to make the city safer. It is now 9:04 on Daybreak Plus, and leaders in Niagara Falls are also calling for a change. This comes after a young man and a woman were killed in separate shootings early Sunday morning. Police say 19-year-old Jayla Brown was shot around 1 a.m. on Highland Avenue, right near Fairfield Avenue. Then around 2 hours later, 22-year-old Jalen Rios was found shot in an alley behind the former bakery bar on Niagara Street. One Niagara Falls City Council member says she believes there needs to be more resources for children and open spaces for kids to have conversations.
I am deeply saddened by all the violence. Another arm of that is having resources, activities, events for the youth, and being able to listen to them, listen to their issues and concerns. They just want to be heard. And I think if we channel that and we turn those issues and concerns into adult size policies and things that they can do, it might be a little easier for them.
Before last weekend's events, Miles started the Youth Advisory Committee and the Youth Ambassador Program to help listen and make changes for local youth. Well, the driver involved in last August's deadly tour bus crash on the Thruway has pleaded guilty to several criminal charges. 56-year-old Bin Xiao entered a plea of guilty yesterday afternoon to 5 counts of criminally negligent homicide. This could land him in prison for up to 4 years. As we've been reporting, the crash killed 5 passengers and injured dozens more. Prosecutors say Xiao told investigators he bent down to pick up a water bottle which had been rolling around the floor before losing control of the bus, causing it to roll over. The Genesee County District Attorney and Xiao's attorney explain what led to the plea deal.
He's taking responsibility for the deaths of these 5 people, and he is admitting to the criminal negligence. He's not saying he consciously disregarded it, but rather he just didn't realize that the situation would lead to the result that it did.
He's carrying a tremendous amount of guilt and feeling terrible about what happened, and just understanding that what he did for literally 20 seconds affected all these people's lives, not just the people who passed away, unfortunately, but also the people who were injured. Himself, he's seriously injured, but it's going to affect him for the rest of his life.
Xiao is scheduled to be sentenced on September 9th. A mother and her child are expected to be okay after an alleged hit-and-run incident. Police say it happened in the area of Broadway on Lombard Street. They say a driver allegedly backed into a woman who was walking with her child in a stroller and then drove off. The investigation is ongoing. It is now, 9:07 on Daybreak, and the Buffalo Zoo is going to be open regular hours today. This comes after a bomb threat caused a brief scare yesterday afternoon. Officials with the zoo say they immediately shifted into their safety protocols while Buffalo police investigated. Eventually, police confirmed that they found no credible threat. The zoo says the threat was believed to be a dangerous prank known as swatting. This happens when somebody makes a fake emergency call in order to cause police response to something that's not actually happening. A Buffalo man faces up to 25 years in prison after pleading guilty to shooting and killing a man in Riverside. 30-year-old Sir Raven Rogers pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter. Prosecutors say back in October, Rogers shot 47-year-old Rafael Ruiz with an illegal handgun on Isabel Street. Ruiz died at the scene. Rogers will be sentenced October 13th. We have an update to a story we first brought you yesterday on Daybreak as breaking news. A man is dead after his SUV crashed into a building and burst into flames in Amherst. Take a look at these pictures from the Williamsville Fire Department. Police say around 3 yesterday morning, the man drove his SUV off Union Road, hit a utility pole, and slammed into the Abbey Square building at Worley Drive. Upon impact, the vehicle actually rolled onto its passenger side and came to a rest inside the building. The impact started a fire that quickly spread through the building, causing some of the roof and wall to collapse. The cause of the crash is under investigation. 9:09 now, and Patrick, we've been sticking with the same weather conditions we've had all morning long, upper 60s and kind of a cloud cover.
We could have done this bit at 4:30, and I think it was very similar, right?
It's a little lighter now. It's a little lighter.
There's been a little change in the last 5 hours. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, the clouds kind of rolled in at around 5 a.m. actually, and they're kind of hanging tough. Temperatures in the coming days are going to be in the 80s Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. A little, well, closer to 80 Friday, Saturday. Very pleasant. Humidity levels still elevated, but not as oppressive as it was last week. Out on the water today, Lake Ontario 53, 75, 1 degree shy of a record still on Lake Erie. Wind will be easterly, 5 to 10 knots with a 1 foot wave or so. All right, mostly sunny at the Falls, 80 today, partly cloudy in Buffalo, mostly cloudy Jamestown to Wellsville. Your skies will slowly clear out as well, just may take a little longer. You'll see here in Buffalo, there's that easterly breeze, not much of a lake influence at all. This is why temperatures will be equally as warm along the lakeshore. Well, look up there, a little shower, just a little, well, it's probably a sprinkle over Lake Erie. It's just some of this low cloudiness tries to come out. Temperatures 82 in Lockport today, 81 in Lewiston, lots of sunshine here. Akron 81. 80 in Port Colborne. And then for the southern tier, clouds hanging tough. There's still an isolated shower threat, especially for Potter and McKean County, but nothing like the rain that you saw yesterday. And in terms of rain chances, they do ramp up this week. By the end of the week, it looks like Tuesday night into Friday is when we have our next opportunity for rain. And you can see that here coming through. Kind of came through fast. But anyway, it's Friday morning, which is the best opportunity of some rain, and it looks like it should dry out Friday afternoon and through the weekend. And as you can see, humidity levels kind of in that muggy to at times humid range, but certainly not oppressive like it was last week. All right, 7-day forecast through Thursday, pretty quiet. There are the showers Friday morning. The weekend looks fantastic, and next week looks comfortable, with temperatures into the low 80s, maybe even a few days in the upper 70s. So very seasonable rather, into the middle of next week.
Like a nice cardigan, just comfortable.
Oh, yes. Oh, does this show sound older?
Yes.
But, however, I feel cardigans are kind of hip now.
Are they really?
Or maybe they never left your wardrobe. But no, they're kind of styling.
Cardigans are kind of hip.
All
right. I think we've got a new name for your biography. Cardigans are kind of hip.
Yes, that's the words of a aging weatherman who thinks he's still young.
There you go, and an aging newsman as well. Right. Stick around. We're going to talk soccer when we come back and kind of dissect that U.S.-Belgium game from last night. Stay with us. We're going to take a quick break, but more Daybreak on the other side. Welcome back, 9:14 now on Daybreak. Well, the dream turned into a nightmare last night for the United States men's national team. Their dreams of a World Cup championship came to a screeching end, losing to Belgium 4-1 in Seattle. The U.S. never held a lead against the energized Belgium squad, and this followed that controversial red card suspension reversal on U.S. striker Folarin Balogun less than 48 hours before the game, and that was controversial. Belgium kind of protested it. Well, it didn't matter in the end. The U.S. World Cup run had many highs and lows, but the lowest of the low came as highlight goalkeeper Matt Freese came out of the box to play the ball and just misplayed it, got stripped of the ball, and that just allowed Belgium to put it in the empty net, taking a 3-1 lead in the second half. Last night's loss, it continues the nearly 100-year losing streak against Belgium in an international play. That dates back to 1930. Team USA will join their fellow host countries in Mexico and Canada in elimination, while Belgium will go on to play Spain in the quarterfinals on Friday in Los Angeles. And while Team USA came up short, Western New Yorkers, because they were still excited watching the World Cup. They headed to bars and restaurants to watch the competition between the two teams. And the impact of the World Cup stretches beyond just one match. It's helping grow the sport and creating new soccer fans along the way.
we're here for everyone, no matter what. Obviously, we love seeing the huge turnout for USA. You know, even folks that aren't normally into, you know, football, soccer. You know, it's just amazing to see so many new people getting into it and just coming to support.
And while the World Cup run ended for the U.S., the tournament will continue through next weekend with the quarterfinals starting next Thursday.
That whiff by the goalie is,
yeah, well,
was he trying to be really aggressive and go get it, or did he?
Well, he was out of the penalty area, so he couldn't pick up the ball, and then I think he just kind of, you know, second guessed himself and mishit the ball and got stripped of it. You know, the U.S. game yesterday was just, it was tentative. It was.
They were nervous.
Nervous. Yeah. It was, and like we talked about on the show earlier, I thought they got outworked, outplayed, and outcoached. And I think the biggest point in the game that showed the coaching strategy, or I think they weren't aggressive enough. They had a corner kick right at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
They were already in extra play. They knew this was going to be the final play of the half. They're down by a goal, and they've only got four players in the box.
Where are they?
Why? I mean, the goalie should have been in the attacking third of the field. And I just could not understand why they weren't more aggressive, why they weren't. It was just it was a bad game. It was a bad game.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Did you try to call the coach? You could have given him, you know, Pete Gallivan here.
He deleted my number. he blocked me years ago.
But I think, you know, I wonder if others, I mean, you really picked up on something that was really interesting there in that penalty, that corner kick. It's like, I wonder if there was other analysts like you, like, what are you doing?
You are out.
It's kind of like it's like you're in the fourth quarter of a football game, you at 3rd and 10, and you're running up the middle. It's like, what are you doing?
They think, I mean, the U.S. players were outnumbered, I think, 8-4 in the box.
Oh my God!
How are you going to get something? It just, it was the whole game was rather frustrating, and I think rather frustrating for the players as well. So, anyway, a good showing. They made it. They won a game in the knockout round. So, good for them. It's built for the future, right? We're going to switch brands of football now. We're going to go to American football. And the Buffalo Bills confirming new details about the first events inside the new Highmark Stadium. Now, the team says season ticket holders will once again get first crack to claim tickets for the blue and red scrimmage on August 8th. But this year, the Bills are expecting more season ticket holders to use that priority, and that's likely going to leave very, very few tickets left for anyone who's not a season ticket holder. Well, the team is adding a second practice on August 18th. That'll be open to the public to give more fans a chance to get into the new stadium and to see it for themselves. The team says more details on both events will be released later this week. And so many people want to get in and look around. I mean, the video shows you one thing, but being there to experience it is something else, right?
I have a really quick question off subject a bit. You heard how amazing the audio system is in that new stadium, right? It's really, really loud. When a band comes to play, do they plug into that, or does a band in these big arena concerts, do they bring their own sound?
They bring their own sound.
So they wouldn't plug into that amazing...
I don't think so. I mean, most bands have those big Marshall stacks. And, you know, it's, I think
the Marshall stack.
they want to be able to control their own audio, and they've got their own mixer.
Wall of sound, yeah. Okay.
But, you know, you never know with a sound system like that. Because, let's face it, over the years, stadiums and arenas didn't have state-of-the-art sound systems.
No.
But so maybe you never know. Maybe AC/DC will come and that'll really, just be the cannon shots up from top.
When they played Hell's Bells, when they first brought the media in, it's like,
I said that.
Yeah. That's the first thing I know. I'm like, that sounds awesome.
Yep. And who knows? Maybe Angus Young is sitting there going, that sounds awesome. Only in an Australian accent.
Yeah, right.
All right, moving on. The clock is ticking. There is less than 1 month before the first NFL preseason game, believe it or not. That's on August 6th. It's the Hall of Fame game featuring Carolina and Arizona. The Bills and the new Highmark Stadium will get their first game action August 15th against the Panthers. Training camp for the Bills begins the 29th of this month at St. John Fisher University out in Pittsburgh. So,
3 weeks.
I understand that those tickets are going to be hard to come by as well. You know, it's a lot of people have been saying, I've seen it on social media, I've heard it, you know, they're selling their tickets. They're not selling the tickets. You just have to go on their website and they're still free, but you have to enter a lottery. And it's just, there's so much energy and so much excitement around the team because of the new stadium, right?
When you were covering them when they had training camp in Fredonia, did they get a big crowd there too? Was it a thing to watch training camp?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was to the extent it is now.
Okay.
Because they didn't have the kid zone and the fan zone and all the, but you know, Fredonia was kind of bare bones, old school. You know, get away from hunker down on campus, and you know they'd have a coach that'd have to get the golf carts and rally them from downtown at the end of the day. But you know, those are stories that other guys should be telling.
Oh, but you
different
saw
animal,
some of it.
Different animal back then, and you know it's kind of cool. I would love to see them somehow go back to that old school approach, even if it was just for a day or two. But you know, the past is the past, I guess.
And you wonder if Brady is he that kind of coach that would he like the old school way of practicing the 2-a-days, I can't speak for him, but he's younger. Maybe he's got more of a modern mindset in terms of how to do things. Okay.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but more old guy reminiscing coming after the break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. 9:25 now, and we're looking ahead to the start of the Buffalo Bison's 6-game homestand against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders. And Salem Field's where all the action's going to be. Things will be kicking off today with First Responders Night at the ballpark. This is going to be pretty cool. The Bisons have teamed up with the Firefighter Arno Memorial Foundation to help honor those who protect and serve the community. Of course, Buffalo firefighter Jason Arno gave his life 3 years ago while responding to a massive fire downtown on Main Street. His death sparked ongoing concerns about firefighter safety and building conditions in the city.
They do such a tremendous job of not only honoring firefighter Arno and what he gave to this community, but also to support local fire, police, and EMT moving forward and help support not only those that serve, but the families as well.
And there will be several ceremonial pitches on the field tonight. Buffalo police officer Mark Hurst is among those to be honored. Hurst is a 9-year veteran. He's the one who was shot 6 times in late May responding to this incident on Sherman Street. He underwent surgery at ECMC and was released nearly a week later. You can watch Hurst throw out that ceremonial first pitch tonight just before the start of the game, which is set for 6:35. And they should have some pretty good weather for baseball and for all the festivities.
100%. Very nice, very comfortable, no threat of rain. Should be a nice sunset. Perfect.
Yeah, and hopefully they can pack the ballpark with firefighters and EMTs and officers. They deserve a night out, especially after this past weekend.
No kidding.
They deserve a nice night out.
Absolutely. Take their mind off that, yeah.
All right, well, the Buffalo History Museum is celebrating one of Western New York's biggest musical success stories. A new exhibit called Long Way Home, 40 Years of the Goo Goo Dolls, will showcase the band's journey from playing local clubs to selling out arenas around the world. The announcement comes just 2 days after the Goo Goo Dolls performed their hit Iris during a nationally televised 4th of July special. The exhibit opens September 16th. And that is kind of cool.
Pete was just telling me where they played before they really made it big, and that was right down the street here, the Colonial.
Yeah, the Continental.
Like the that's the Continental. Okay.
The Colonial's another club.
That's
probably a strip joint. But no, the Continental was legendary, and not only the Goo Goo Dolls, but anyone who was coming up, specifically the harder edge and the punk bands that were coming up through the 80s. They played the Continental, and that stood for those of you new to Buffalo. If you're familiar with the Curtis the Curtis Hotel,
The drive up.
the driveway and that little parking lot, right? That's where the Continental stood. And when they tore that down, I stood out in front of it and interviewed and it was like the who's who of
Really?
1980s punk band members that came back
I
and
wonder if like the
paid
Sex
tribute.
Pistols played there. Johnny
Yeah.
Lydon.
No.
No?
They
were a little before that?
they were about the same time, but they were a little bigger than that. This was, I mean, the Goo Goo Dolls, when they played there, were not the Goo Goo Dolls. I mean, they were raw, they were hardcore, they were, I mean.
Interesting.
And actually, when they started finding commercial success, a lot of their previous old school fans were like,
out.
yeah, exactly right.
So I think happened to Metallica. It happens to so many bands. You know, it's like, come on, they're evolving. It's fine.
Yeah, and you know, the way you write now is far cry different than the way you wrote when you were 20 years old.
Exactly.
Whether it's news copy or songs, but I'm hoping that and I'm sure the History Museum's exhibit will kind of capture that whole thing because they're working right along with Robbie and Johnny.
That's cool.
That together. So
that's very cool.
Awesome. Congratulations, guys. It's going to be great. I can't wait till it opens. But right now, we're going to say goodbye for another day for Daybreak. It's 9:30. Have a great day.